Hi folks, Mark Slauter here to do my review of Jasper Fforde's The Well of Lost Plots. What you might remember is where the last book left off, which is Lost in a Good Book. Thursday is really pissed off the Goliath Corporation. She's been attacked by Acheron's sister Aornis, who planted a mind worm in her, and her husband Landon has been eradicated by the Chrono Guard. So that's kind of where it picks up. My only beef about this book is towards the end of Lost in a Good Book. I mean, I almost always find some editorial problem in a book when I read it. Maybe it's just because it's mass produced, not sure. But there's one key one in here that just stands out to me, and so I'm gonna call them out on it. So Thursday goes into Book World and assumes the role of a character through Book World's character exchange program. And the book is under construction in the Well of Lost Plots. And that character is trying to convert an old plane into a houseboat. So in Lost in a Good Book, it says, Short Sunderland, built in 1943 but last flew in 54. Okay, 2 dates. Then we get into Well of Lost Plots, and all of a sudden she's a Sunderland, built in 43 but last flew in 68. Okay, to me that's a big foobar right there. I'm not sure how that got missed. I will give Jasper a little bit of leeway because he's got so much wordplay in what he writes. Maybe it's intentional. Maybe he was thinking, yeah, it's a trick of the Chrono Guard or something. Anyway, so here we have Thursday is part of the character exchange program. She's in Book World, and if you remember, the library in Book World is massive. It contains everything that has ever been written or everything that will be written. It's 26 stories in height, and its hallways are just miles and miles and miles and miles of books. Well, it also has 26 stories below ground, the Well of Lost Plots. And this is where Thursday ends up, in a book that is down in the Well of Lost Plots. In this book, we learn more about the jurisdiction and its members. So, Commander Bradshaw, Miss Havisham, Emperor Zark, the Red Queen from Alice in Wonderland, and Miss Tiggywinkle, who's a hedgehog. We also learn about the Council of Genres, Text Grand Central, and the Book World has its own deity, Penjandrum. He's really kind of gone all out in this. We also know that the Book World has its own communication system. It's what Jasper calls the footnoter phone. So it's a takeoff on the smartphone or the cell phone. I'm going to show you this right here, where you can see we've got all the text, and down here are the footnotes. And what this is, people are using the footnoter phone as a way to communicate like we would a cell phone or a smartphone. And he uses, puts it in here as footnotes. It's kind of funny. It does get a little bit irritating after a while, but I get the whole concept and I like it. Thursday is still apprenticed to Miss Havisham. And of course, Miss Havisham, you might remember, has a thing for fast cars. And guess who shows up in this book? Mr. Toad from Wind in the Willows, because they have to have a car race. And if you know anything about Mr. Toad, he is an absolute car freak. Now, if you haven't read Charles Dickens' Great Expectations, I'm not going to allude to what happens. If you have read it, then what's in this book will make sense to you. So, she's got all this going on. The other thing that's going on with her, she's got to deal with a raging minotaur, grammatocytes, Big Martin, which we don't know what Big Martin is, Gladysants, ejectivores, an attack on the characters of Wuthering Heights by terrorists who are targeting the character Heathcliff. And she's also got to deal with her practical exam for becoming a jurisfiction agent. And there are murdered agents. On top of this, her hearing, the first phase took place in Kafka's The Trial, while now the second phase is being held in the Red Queen's court from Alice in Wonderland. Aornis, Acheron's sister, as I said, planted a mind worm. And Jasper gives Aornis the descriptor of being a mnemonomorph. So let me try that again. Mnemonomorph. Say it with me slowly. Mnemonomorph. It's really tough. There's no way I could say that 3 times in a row. The mind worm makes Thursday begin to forget all of her past and everything. Now, Granny next shows up in the book, and she's there to basically hold Thursday's hand and get her through that tough time of really losing her memories. As I said, Landon's still eradicated. There's an apparent plot to overthrow Bookworld by Text Grand Central from a software upgrade to Ultra Word. She's got to deal with a married gorilla, the possible nefariousness of another Outlander and jurisfiction agent named Tweed. The book she's living in begins to unravel a bit. And to top it all off, she's pregnant. The other things that go on in this book is she gets to interact with Captain Nemo, the three witches from Hamlet. She gets to attend the 923rd Bookworld Awards, aka the Bookies. And the Cheshire Cat is now referred to as Cat, formerly known as Cheshire. At one point, Jasper makes a reference to a Dickens character, Uriah Heep. Now, when I read Uriah Heep, I think of the rock band Uriah Heep. Jasper Fforde also makes a reference to a Zane Grey novel, Riders of the Purple Sage, which, for me, what pops up in my head is the country rock band New Riders of the Purple Sage. So for me, that was a little bit entertaining and sort of a sidebar. Maybe we can convince Jasper to write another book that his Thursday's got to interact with some counterpart in the music world. That would be kind of interesting. So she gets through all this, and Jasper wraps this up with a windstorm in Bookworld. And what that is it really is a word storm. So think of tornadoes. And there's this word storm that's happening. They've got this whole weather center, and these guys are trying to figure out how to control the word storm and protect the books. So overall, a good read. Give it a 3.5 out of 5. Could be a 4. But it's something you want to take a look at. Have a great day and keep on reading.